All right, I want to talk about something we have talked about this, but if you're going to make a retirement plan, like what in the world do you look at, right? So maybe this isn't everything, but we're going to go through some of the things that you should include to make not only just a good retirement plan, but maybe the best retirement plan. And I would like to kick things off. What?
Yeah, I like the best.
The best, yeah. I'm a big proponent. I say this all the time. This is nothing new, but we're just getting things going here. Only take the risk you need for the plan that you have, right? So we're going to visit this at the beginning of the plan. And we're going to come back to it at the end of the plan and go, now that we know what everything is, are we dialed in there? Do that, right? Why everybody's like, oh, I want to be in the NASDAQ or NVIDIA, for God's sakes. My family's asking me all this.
Yeah.
So only for what you need. And some of you have lofty goals. Some of you have big plans. Some of you are like, yeah, I'm just going to live on the porch and just swing back and forth and sip a drink and have a good time. Okay, only take the risk you need for your particular plan.
Yeah, and with that though, I do see people that make the mistake of being too conservative to the point it's like, well, I don't need to do anything, but they're not going to spend their money and it's all for inheritance. So make sure that you're calculating as a goal what the money is actually for, because maybe you don't need the risk in your plan because you don't even need the money. So make sure that you're not hurting your heirs though if you're planning to do something with inheritance purposes.
Yeah, there's a balance there. Like, you don't need to take the risk, and then when you do take the risk, some people are like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. You know, so it's got to be a good fit for you as well.
I just have somebody that comes to mind.
That's what made me think.
It's family that I just was like, why would they not invest a little bit of it for something? And they're always asking questions, like they're always asking me questions, and I'm like, hey, you ask the question, I'm going to give you the answer.
Just had that call actually.
So the next one is really just figuring out a tax efficient way to withdraw your money. We always talk about this and really strategizing. So many people are like, well, you know what? I'm going to pull from the Roth IRA because the Roth IRA is tax free and I don't want to pay taxes today. Well, guess what? That Roth IRA can compound and grow tax-free and be one of the last things you touch. So now you have this massive bucket of money at the end of the plan that either you can withdraw from and never pay taxes on, or you could leave to your heirs, again, or for an inheritance purpose without them having a tax liability. So there's that strategy. Then you've got to look at, taxable accounts, brokerage accounts. Oftentimes, if you can keep your tax bracket low enough in the early years in retirement, it allows you the opportunity to potentially do Roth conversions during that same time frame. So it's really just mapping out, making sure that you're using the right dough at the right time.
I love it there. Well, think about too, if you have various accounts and you go to retire, how do you know that it's most efficient to take from the IRA and then maybe next year from the brokerage account or whatever? Like, there's a whole different direction you can go there.
Yeah.
And so it's not just about saying I need $70,000 this year. It's coming from the IRA. Well, hold on. Let's take a look, see if we can do better there. And part of that is, and maybe getting into the next tip, make sure you have an appropriate lifespan. This is a difficult one because what do we default ours to? 90?
90.
So we default it to 90. And for some of you, that's very realistic, and so you'll know if you're, not very healthy and eat Reese's every day, then all right, fine. But let's plan for an appropriate lifespan, because if you're planning for 90, it's a little harder on you because those are more years to feed yourself when whatever you got to do. Plan for the appropriate lifespan.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and then if you are doing the conversions like I talked about before, you've got to think through those when it comes to the inheritance, and if you have kids that are having a higher income.
Big one.
Yeah, we could do a whole video on this, and maybe we should. Let us know in the comments if you think that we should do a video on this, because if you have a child that is, a doctor and they're making, $400,000, $500,000 a year, and you're planning on leaving them $1 million in an IRA account, well, guess what? They're going to have 10 years to withdraw all of that money down out of that account. And so that's just going to put them in an even higher tax bracket. So if the purpose is for inheritance and you're just wanting to leave this money, you might want to consider the conversion, because you may be in a lower tax bracket than they will. And that will depend on your child. Maybe your child's making 20 grand a year and you're retired in a 15% bracket or a 20% bracket. Well, guess what? Maybe it doesn't make sense. So it's really figuring out when the conversions make sense for you and for your heirs when it comes to that. I keep using the word heirs today.
Heirs,
I don't know what
beneficiaries.
It is. Beneficiaries.
But it's true though, because at some point, if you did okay, right, or really well, you're going to have leftover dollars that you can't spend in life, like he said. Mm-hmm. But now we're thinking of that as like estate dollars. And if the estate has to pay some tax to the government's going to get some tax, right? If they have to pay some tax, well, now we want to know which family member should pay the tax. Who has the lower tax bracket? And you could do that. So that's a little bit more detailed there, but yes, think about that.
Yep.
I love it. I kind of touched on it, the estate planning there. It's not for everybody, but as your life potentially gets more complex, then it starts to play a little bit of a game there. Maybe you have a falling out with a spouse or 2 or 10, and you have kids that are from various spouses. You've adopted kids, started businesses with a partner who then something happened or they died or whatever. So the whole estate planning thing is really at the end, but definitely, comes into play. Now, if you just got married, you've been married for 60 years and that's just life, it was just you never had any kids or anything, all right,
Simple.
Don't let anybody convince you to spend money on that stuff.
Well, yeah, and you got to watch out with the trust. Sometimes the attorney's like, well, you do the trust, but do you need the trust if you have 2 really responsible kids and they're 40 years old, 50 years old already, and they're responsible with their money? The trust is oftentimes to control things from the grave. Depends on the state that you're in. There's a lot of factors that come into play there, but you can put beneficiaries on all of your accounts. That's always a key when it comes even to the estate planning side of things, making sure you have the beneficiaries. Now, if you have a trust is the beneficiary, but just factoring that in. Next one, qualified charitable distributions. When you get to the RMD years, so at 70 and a half, you can start qualified charitable distributions, even though RMDs sometimes start after that. I believe it's 70 and a half is the age there that you can start those.
You can start.
So it's one of my favorite things. Qualified charitable distributions allows the ability for you to take, whether it's your RMD or even before your RMD, money out, gift it directly to a qualified charity, so like a 501c3. Now it has to be a direct contribution to them. It can't be something where you take the possession of the money and then give it to them. No, it's a third-party transaction where we actually have the ability to do that with Goldman Sachs, where we can actually get them to cut a check directly to the third party. And with doing that, that then allows you to not have any income shown, but it also allows you to be able to give that money away. There's no deduction on this, so people get confused sometimes.
Well, yeah, the benefit is you're saving on the tax there.
Well, most people are never going to give away more than the standard deduction, especially right now. It's double standard deduction.
Yeah.
If you're married filing jointly, what is it, roughly 30 grand, close to it?
27 and change.
So if you're saying, well, I'm not going to itemize my taxes, well, guess what? If you give 10 grand to a charity and that's your RMD for the year, you could just shift that there and basically not have to pay any tax liability on it. It's a win-win for everybody on that one.
I like that one. And going finally with the taxes here, the HSA. So I feel like this account doesn't get enough love. You know what I mean? The going in, you get the tax deduction. Coming out, it's tax-free. And then, of course, it grows tax-free. So they often say it's like a triple tax benefited account. But the coolest part about it is you can start reimbursing yourself for previous medical expenses. So if you're really cool about it and you just take a picture and drop a receipt in Dropbox or whatever, well, now when you get to retirement planning for that side of things, if you had some medical issues along the way, well, now the money can come out, be used as income, even though that bill's been paid off for 2 years or 5 years or whatever. So if we have that bucket of money to pull from where we're not going to pay anything, it's kind of like a Roth IRA and a legal way to reimburse yourself. Now, if you're over 65, then it gets treated like an IRA. So it's, got to be part of the plan there.
Yep. No. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity when it comes to the HSA.
I like that. For some reason, the HSA really gets me going. I like playing the game with it and stuff. I'm a picture taker with the receipts and all that. But you have no joke today, do you?
No, I don't.
I have no joke either.
I was told no joke today.
No joke. I told him don't make a joke because as you know, I've been very busy outside of jazz here, and that's all coming to an end. It is over. It says done. That's it. So back to work for me. I felt bad. And I was like, I need to get him a gift.
Back to work.
So I got, let's see. I got you a book, sir.
Dad jokes.
So
the
if you
good,
need a
the
joke,
bad, and the terrible. Look at that right there, baby.
You just flip to a page, read one off for me.
So let's go. Did you hear about the guy who invented lifesavers? They said he had a mint. Did you hear about the fire in the shoe factory? Hundreds of souls were lost.
See, he's already winning, man. It's
Let's
great.
Go.
Guaranteed
We're ready.
winners.
We are ready.
And so we have to do that many more shows.
That's great.
I love it. All right, well, hey, enjoy. We'll see you when we see you. Adios.
Adios.